Garrett Smith with my message to Congress, the U.S. Congress, on stopping big tech censorship. Very important issue, a current issue, and one that a lot more people are feeling. Censorship from big tech companies. What is big tech censorship? How do we stop it? I will try to define roughly in layman's terms what should be defined by a committee of legal experts whose sole aim is individual liberty and preservation of freedom of speech for the individual, the smallest minority. And that definition is, as I define it now, as flawed and imperfect as it is, I will say that it will be defined as big tech being a company of a certain specified number of users. It is general purpose, so anything can be discussed pretty much on that platform. It's a kind of free-for-all sort of thing. And it's publicly accessible. Anybody can sign up for it. You don't have to become a member of a certain organization or anything. It's publicly accessible. That describes what I see in Facebook, Twitter, Meetup, Reddit, Nextdoor.com, Instagram. And I think that's what these things are. These are just general purpose platforms that anybody can sign up for. They've got a large number of people, and that's where the marketplace of ideas exists on those web applications. And the problem though is that these applications are the companies are compromisable. You know, they can receive incentive to promote, dismiss ideas. They might have their own internal bias. And we want to keep that neutral. We want neutrality on the platforms. But we don't want neutrality on platforms that are specific to Jeep Wrangler owners, right? You don't go on Jeep Wrangler owner forums and talk about things that aren't at least somewhat related to that, right? They can see that doesn't fit the definition of big tech, general purpose. It's not general purpose, you're talking about Jeep Wranglers. So we want to be able to prevent the censorship on those general purpose platforms that have a large number of people and are publicly accessible. You don't need any membership or anything to sign up. You just sign up, create an account, new profile. We need privacy in direct messages and emails. If you don't have privacy, you don't have freedom of speech. And think about it. You call an associate on the phone, and you think somebody's listening to your call, and you have to watch what you say. You can't say what you wanted to say, you can't say it now. You need privacy, where reasonable expectation of privacy is expected. And that reasonable expectation of privacy, I think, is expected in a direct private message and an email, just as it would be on a phone call. So therefore, the platforms can't spy on your direct messages, private messages. So now let's say, for example, we've got a couple problems here. We say, well, the first problem is spam. What are you going to do with spam? You want to censor the spam, or you just want censorship if they delete it? No. But that spam has to be defined by law so that any user on any new platform that hasn't been created yet, let's say it's a new platform called Splitter. It's a new version of Twitter. Comes out, and they're better. How do you define spam? Well, if there's a law that says what spam is, then users can say, okay, that's what the law says. We can't do that because we know that if we do, the company is supposed to delete it, and we might have some consequences if we do it too many times, or whatever the law says, however that law is to be defined. The point being, those companies cannot remove content unless it is illegal. It's the only time they can remove it. It's illegal and they can remove it. And there's no more way to compromise them anymore. You can't compromise big tech because they can't be bribed to manipulate public perception that way. Now, there may be some cases where they may be able to maybe change the search result order, right? And for that, an extra layer of protection, we need data portability. So that users, I'm sick of this platform, whatever, it's slow, or, I want to get my data back. And in that case, they have to give you all of your data back. So we have federal level data portability access to get your data back and bring it to the new platform. Put it on your weblog later. It's yours. You wrote it. It's your content. You published it, created it. It's yours. You can get it back, and you can request to delete it from that platform If that platform is behaving badly, you can get it back. And if you really don't like the platform, you can say, I want to delete all this content. Done. Not a bunch of hoops to jump through. Right? And if they don't give you your content back, or if they don't delete your content when you require it, then that would be a violation of the law as well. New law for this. Okay, now, the second part of the law I'm talking about is the privacy issue. So we talked about the third part. The first part is what big tech censorship is and how that needs to be defined, how exceptions need to be made for illegal content so that illegal content is deletable, and how to want to define content that should be illegal, then that has to be done in the process as well. The second part is about privacy and direct messaging. That has to be private. Now, if the company is violating that, that would be a violation of personal privacy, eavesdropping. Now, let's say, for example, the company knows because they are able to have some reports or something that this person is up to no good. And then they've got some good, reasonable suspicion that person's up to no good. Now they want to do an investigation, right? Well, how does that happen? Does it happen by a fishing expedition where the company says, well, I feel something suspicious, so I don't know. Whenever I get that feeling in my gut, I just got to go and read all your direct messages. Absolutely not. No, that can only happen when the company has that feeling of suspicion. It can only happen by the police. So the police they have to tell the police. The company tells the police go to the judge. They get a warrant. They present the warrant to the tech giant, and the tech giant says, okay, we got a warrant for this specific range and set of data under these parameters, and we are going to relinquish all of that data and nothing but that data. And that's the way it must happen. Not a fishing expedition where they go through all of your private messages. Because now, if they want to do that and they want to take action on your account, they can use that as intel, right? Because now it's no longer private. So that has to be stopped. Right. So this is a serious problem as well, and it's not talked about enough. This is a very important issue of concern for Western society. It needs to be done. Right? Congress really needs to step up and create a committee, unless there is already a committee within Congress, to handle such things. And if there is already a committee that should be handling such things, then why aren't they? This needs to be taken care of. This is of utmost importance for Western society. We've lost freedom of speech. We have a little bit, kind of, sort of left. Right? It's worse in other countries. Right? Could be worse. It's going in that direction. It's time to stop big tech censorship. This is a wake-up call to Congress. This is very important.